Well, for more on this now, we are joined by international relations expert, Dr. Charles Sinkala. Good evening. Thanks for joining us here on Late Edition.
Thank you very much for having me, and good evening to you.
Have you been following this story? Do you have any more information that you can share with us about when these Palestinians left Gaza, when they arrived, what countries they were rejected from? Do you have any more information about this for us?
Not at all, not at all. It's only speculation that they left Gaza and they were given a safe passage to land in South Africa. It's just disappointing that they haven't been released. According to the international law, South Africa was supposed to accept them because they have already indicated that they would like to apply for asylum. And the international instruments, such as the Convention for Refugees and as well as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 14, permits or demands from South Africa to not to refuse them entry, but to supply them with Section 22, which is a temporary permit in terms of them applying for the asylum seeking until the process is done. But what is happening now, it's a complete violation of human rights, to say the least.
Why do you think this has happened? Why do you think there's this hold-up? As we understand, the airline that transported them from Kenya to South Africa did submit a list of the passengers and their credentials prior to landing in Johannesburg. Am I correct in assuming that at that point, that information should have been handled by border security or international relations, and a decision should have been made then and not at the 11th hour when they landed this morning at around 7 a.m.?
You're correct to say that. And, aeroplanes are not like, road buses and other transportation. As before departure, a plane is given the signal and the coordinates where it is supposed to land and declare what is on board. And when they approached or arrived the airspace of South Africa, they also communicated to the ground OR Tambo, which eventually allowed them to land. If they had passengers who are undesired in South Africa, the control towers at OR Tambo Airport should have refused them to land the aeroplane. But to what we have accumulated now, that there were pre-arrangement which has gone wrong. The chartered plane is not the first plane that has landed at OR Tambo. There has been another plane which landed in October, and only one can, speculate of what has been happening. And it is quite disappointing that South Africa, which has championed the rights of the Palestinians, for many years, even going to the International Criminal Court to report Israel for human rights violation, has started mistreating the Palestinians who thought that they were going to have a safe passage. In fact, the Border Management Authority, at no chance they can request, an exit stamp either from Kenya or Gaza or Palestine, because already when somebody indicates that they are asylum seeking, into that country, they're supposed to be allowed safe passage. And they do process them in terms of Section 22 and eventually Section 24, the asylum seeking. I know the process is quite cumbersome. I see some other asylum seekers can stay up to 10 years without being issued that asylum seeking permit. But, these two, Section 22, which can be issued by the South African authority, can be renewed after 6 months until they can be given that. But once they are issued with that Section 22, they can, have recourse to public health. They can have recourse to even work in the country and access any other public benefit, information or access to whatever that they can access.
Dr. Sinkala, we heard earlier Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman from Gift of the Givers talking about a plane that had landed on the 28th of October carrying Palestinians, I believe seeking asylum in South Africa. What happened to that plane? Were those Palestinians granted asylum? Do you have any information on that?
Yes, they were granted asylum or temporary permits with Section 22. Some of them, they had to, request that they go to other countries, which I think the Border Management Authority and the South African DECO management, they facilitated that to give them documents that they can travel. And I think the country is shocked that there was even a plane in October. No one knew about it. And I think most of the citizens, South Africans or the international community, are only aware because of the delay that has been happening this morning in the processing the documents, and South African turning around not to release them because some of them we heard, like from Gift of the Givers, who have, offered to support them either legally, medically, and any otherwise. And I think some of the passengers have indicated that they would like to connect to Egypt. But the question just bears that what is the hold up? Even the two ministers, the Minister of Home Affairs and the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, they are, they're not communicating together, hence is the delay. It's unfortunate that, they have left, more than 170 passengers still stranded, on the tarmac at the OR Tambo Airport, from a country that South Africa has spoken very highly and defended their rights. And, we can see that it's completely probably abuse of power, to say the least.
Thank you so much for sharing your views and information with us there. That was international relations expert Dr. Charles Sinkala chatting to us this evening about the Palestinians who are stranded essentially at OR Tambo International Airport and have not been let through customs.